From Singapore, Lin Tan-Wai, Adjunct Senior Research Fellow from East Asian Institute at National University of Singapore. In Hong Kong, Edward Xie, Chairman and CEO of Gaofeng Advisory Company. And in Beijing, Liu Zhiqin, Senior Researcher from the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies with Renmin University of China. Gentlemen, welcome to the program and happy the year of the Dragon the Long.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
给各位拜年啊。So how is your Chinese New Year so far? Mr. Liu, you are based in Beijing. Tell me more about what you saw and how you have been celebrating with your family.
I stayed in Beijing and I didn't go to anywhere except those hottest places for travelers. For instance, Summer Palace, there are so many people crowded around the lake. And also, the most impressive event for me is to go to the Jingshan Park. So many people that climb up to the hills and come down, because from two sides, all the people that squeezed against each other, so crowded. But many people so feel very peacefully, very harmony, and also very quietly. So move this event in a very exciting atmosphere. So I think that the stay in Beijing had made me really very impressive.
So good to hear. Yes, but you know, it's always a dilemma, isn't it, Mr. Xie, that during the Spring Festival, many Chinese want to travel, particularly after the pandemic. People want to have more freedom of movement. And they want to celebrate. But at the same time, wherever they go, there's a people mountain, people sea, as they say, the crowds of people. It's because everybody is taking their vacation all at the same time, countrywide. So how are you taking that in Hong Kong?
Yeah, we are having a great time in Hong Kong. It's been a very celebrative Chinese New Year for us in Hong Kong. A lot of tourists coming from the mainland to Hong Kong. And I also know there are a lot of Hong Kong people go to mainland, in particular to Guangdong province, which is right next door to Hong Kong. I say many of the mainland tourists came to Hong Kong because of many of the exciting celebrations in Hong Kong, such as the big fireworks on the second day of the Chinese New Year, such as the parade, such as the horse racing, which is a very unique feature, as you know, of Hong Kong, as well as the soccer match, the football match between the World Star and the Hong Kong Star. All those activities were very appealing to the mainland tourists. So in Hong Kong, yeah, we do see a lot of crowds of tourists coming from mainland to Hong Kong, but we like it because it brings a lot of prosperity to Hong Kong, and it's been very fascinating.
Have you visited your hometown? I know your hometown is based in Guangdong.
I visited last year. I didn't go this Chinese New Year holiday because as you know, as part of the custom, our family actually got together. In this year, we got together on the second day of the Chinese New Year. It's part of our tradition. So we stay here and celebrate it together. But normally we would go back to the hometown at least once a year during some time in the year.
What about for you, Mr. Lim? You are now based in Japan. Chinese New Year is being celebrated there as well in eastern part of Asia. And you're from Singapore. Tell me more about how you've been celebrating.
Yes, usually in Singapore, we will have the reunion dinner with friends and family. The special unique feature of the reunion dinner is actually a salad dish called lo hei. And lo hei is kind of a dish where you have various vegetables, and also ingredients like raw fish, and then you will mix them up together. And the higher you hold the ingredients, the more the luckier you will get. So that's always a highlight for Singaporeans and even Malaysians when they go back home to celebrate, or when they meet their families. And this year in particular, there is also a special feature which has made a news, which is they used a large number of drones to form a dragon. And the dragon that's made up of the drones flew over the Marina Bay Sands and in the skies majestically showing off its colors and its majesty to onlookers. And so this was the highlight of this year's Chinese New Year as well. As for Japan, is celebrated in Nagasaki, Kobe, Yokohama, and Ikebukuro. These are the 4 spots, and each of them have their own different features of celebration. So that makes it very interesting to observe, particularly for a scholar who is interested in cultural anthropology, to see the different kinds of traditions and practices that's being in practice.
And so many Chinese tourists traveling to Japan, to Singapore particularly, right?
Yes, according to Global Times survey, and they did 2 surveys, the bookings for Singapore was 15 times the normal amount. And this made Singapore, according to that survey, the second ranked after Maldives. And according to another survey, which is by the Chinese online travel agency, Qunar, and this survey shows that the top country for the travels during Chinese New Year for Chinese tourists was actually Thailand in Southeast Asia, and second place was actually Japan. And I've seen some figures, that's been released about the 300 to 400,000 tourists probably arrived in Japan during this period. So this is all these show that there's a revival in both Singapore and Japan, and many sort of retailers as well as people celebrating the Chinese New Year were excited.
Mr. Xie, it seems that after 3 years of the pandemic, this is almost the very first time that the Chinese from China's mainland be able to travel as they did before the pandemic, both domestically and also internationally, especially to the neighboring countries.
Certainly, there's a lot of the mainland tourists going over to other countries, Southeast Asia, North Asia. Clearly are the natural locations, but we also see many tourists going further away into, let's say, the Belt and Road countries, as well as all the way to Europe. So we're also beginning to see that the Chinese New Year is not only about a Chinese phenomenon, because many other countries are also celebrating the Chinese New Year in the kind of destinations I mentioned just now.
Absolutely. And even in the Chinese cities, we see a revival of traditions. For example, temple fairs, for example, village fairs. All of these have not only satisfied the tradition of the locals, but also attracted tourists from within China. For example, some of those who live in the mega cities want to travel to the county level in order to set off fireworks and firecrackers, and at the same time to observe how long-time tradition is being handed down through generations. Mr. Liu, I'm sure you have some memories of those traditions since you're from Yangzhou, a wonderful and historic city of China. And also, you've been going to the temple fairs in Beijing, I hope.
Yes, I have been there to Yitan Temple Fair.
The Temple of Earth, as they say, it's one of the most important praying places by the emperor in ancient times to the gods of the earth.
Because many people have been there, so visiting there, so many people crowded, especially for those young people and the children that are so gathering, very happy. They buy some different articles, especially for local food. Beijing, good food in the free market, so many people crowded, exciting. The most impressive is that the calligraphy, the pictures there, because they show the traditional paintings and the traditional Chinese cultures there. And also, of course, that shows many the local food, and especially for the Beijing style food, especially only for the Beijing area. So it's quite impressive. Not only the Temple of Earth, but also I went to Miyun, that not before another big temple that that is a good temple that for many people to pray for good fortune for this year, and for good health of the people, of the family members, because we know that this time is a good time for family reunion, and also young generation also, it's great for the older generation and the old generation parents always try to protect and defend even a good play for the young.
But also celebration in the theaters, of course. We know the latest figures suggested the New Year movies, which is the movies that they show during the New Year season. The box office has already exceeded about 5 billion RMB so far over the past 1 week. So, Mr. Xie, how do you, as an economist, looking at this tradition that China has formed over the past 20 years, put on movies during the New Year season, and also the families can go to movies together?
Yeah, certainly this is a very smart move. When people have time together and when family together can go to do something at the same time, going to see movie is always a very good exercise. And we also know that the production people are very smart too. They will come up with very attractive movies during this time every year. And so this year is no different. And we see a lot of sort of very popular movies that come out during this time. So in general, this is a very good move. And, we're seeing people staying in the hometowns to go to movie places, right, to watch movies. But we also see people leaving the hometown and go to other places to do tourism. So we're seeing different diversified activities during Chinese New Year, which is really good.
Of course, the Chinese local-made movies have occupied the box office, especially with the special advantageous policies at this moment to put these movies in the movie theaters during the most coveted time of the year. So, Mr. Lim, how do you see the practice like this in China?
Well, movies are part of the popular cultural industries, and the popular cultural industries is indeed booming in China. And China has become the world's largest cinematic box office. And so you can see that it has become a very important market for movies that's made around the world. And we are likely to see also the growth of indigenous cinematic industries in China, given that there is a large regional popularity in certain genres of works from China, for example, sci-fi movies and books from China. This is likely to also resonate with regional audiences and perhaps in the near future, global audiences as well. That's likely to be a possible trend moving forward.
More than 273 million passenger trips were already handled by China's transport sector on Sunday. That is the latest number we have, and that's likely to continue to rise as we are seeing. This is already the 5th day into the traditional Chinese New Year, and we see people are coming back home. Others are taking this opportunity, time difference, quote unquote, to travel outside. Any general impression, Mr. Xie, when you look at these numbers, to understand the mentality of Chinese consumers and also the mood of the Chinese public in terms of how they view their free time, how they see festivals should be celebrated, holidays should be spent. Any takeaway?
Yeah, I think the takeaway is that the Chinese consumers now do have a lot of degrees of freedom. They can either choose to stay in the hometown and go to see movies, as an example, or they choose to travel. And they also have different options in travel. They could certainly take the high-speed rail, which goes all over China, as you know, that way. They can also choose to fly. They fly within China, but also they can fly internationally. And as I know, actually, this Chinese New Year, the number of people who decide to drive by themselves or through car rental has increased significantly because people will want to drive themselves and to go to destination of their own choices without following a certain fixed itinerary set by others. So we're beginning to see this diversification of choices that the Chinese consumer have among the menu of different options. So I think in general, this reflects the fact that the Chinese consumers have a diversified set of interests, and they can fulfill their interests through leveraging different options in the traveling ways.
Mr. Liu, obviously you see the Chinese consumers are looking for experience-related activities, whether it's traveling or going to movie theaters or others as well, visiting the temple fair. What does that say about, what the general public is looking for in life, in a way, after 3 years of pandemic? And you see strong desire of people to travel outside China. People really are having strong desire to travel. What does that say about people's curiosity about the rest of the world? And how much, it is likely to bring back as a result of this traveling to the home country about what they saw, what they listened to, what they heard, and how they interacted with the rest of the world?
Actually, you have a very important question, because many people outside of China also try to ask me how and why the China has so high inspiration or enthusiasm to travel everywhere. I said not only because of the 3 years pandemic, but I think from the Chinese culture itself, from the China's philosophy, that it's a very openness and harmonious is the goal of the Chinese culture of the people. They like to travel, they wish to travel, and also they prepare to travel at all the time. So in this way, we find that the Chinese economic development make all this travel possible. That is the basic reason that Chinese people have enjoyed a better life. They have a better income. They have a better conditions to go abroad and also in domestic market. That's why they are inspired to travel everywhere to show our confidence, to show our happiness.
Of course, the Chinese economy right now is facing a period of transition. Now, there are challenges during this period of time. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, despite of the situation, you see people's desire to travel, not only to their hometown to see their loved ones, but also to different parts of China to learn about different traditions and to learn about something that's different from what they have in their life, and also to travel internationally. What does that say about the mentality of the Chinese right now, particularly after 3 years of the pandemic? How much are they looking forward to be interacting with the rest of the world? And how can, if possible, the rest of the world can benefit from that, not just financially, but also in other aspects?
Good question. The 3 years pandemic have suppressed the demand side of the Chinese consumer for a long time. So for some people, this recent phenomenon of Chinese traveling again is what they call the revenge consumption. But I think it's more than just revenge consumption. In general, with the opening up and the reform over the last several decades, the Chinese have become much more outward oriented. They are very interested in the rest of the world. They like to integrate and interact more with the rest of the world. I think this phenomenon that we're now seeing is a reflection of that. And I believe that consumption, or the increase in consumption, is going to become a very important part of the economic recovery of China coming this year and maybe even beyond this year.
Mr. Lim, after years of difficulties, many Chinese individuals, together with many around the world, have been having a second thought about what life is about. If we talk about a little bit of philosophy here, about how to celebrate life, what is important about life, and what is the relationship should be like with their loved ones. What about money? What about wealth? What about experience? What about the rest of the world? There are so many different questions I think people are having a second thought about. It's too early to have a conclusion right now, but certainly some of the phenomena we just touched on is a mere reflection of what's going on.
Yes, indeed. Actually, the travels do reflect what you've mentioned about life's aims, because there's a general shift and trend in tourism towards experiential tourism. Experiential tourism matches sort of life aspirations and preferences for something new, a new experience that they want to have. So it's a very different form of consumption. In the past, before the pandemic, consumption would mean going to the mall, buying branded luxury items, and also consuming, consumer items to satisfy one's needs. But today, the aspiration is much higher. Now it's become experiential. Therefore, you can see this in Chinese tourism, whether it is internally within China or external to China. Internally to China, there are emerging trends, for example, like commando-style tourism in China, ecotourism, medical tourism, elderly tourism. All these are based on experience rather than pure consumption, because consumption has become sort of a mass activities that no longer carries something unique about their experience in life. External to China is the same thing happens. You can see that a lot of the consumptions are based on experiential tourism. So experiential tourism sees the consumption of, for example, hotels, hot springs, mountainous areas, natural sceneries, and also walks and experiences of cultures, ancient traditions, festivals as being more important than just buying physical material goods.
You see a increasing trend of people sincerely looking for diversity, for quality and better services. It's not just you put on something over there in the market and say, well, this is all you have. Go ahead and consume. People would love to do that. No, that's not a trend anymore. People would love to have something with quality, and they are demanding about quality. And we hope that trend will continue. Thank you so much for the three of you. And once again, happy the Year of the Dragon on the Long to you and your family, and certainly to our audience as well. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.